Air can enter the hydraulic system when parts are removed and installed or from leaks. When air gets trapped in the system, the brakes may not function properly. Typical symptoms may include a spongy brake pedal or lack of braking power. System bleeding removes air from the system. It must be performed on the hydraulic system any time work has been done on the system. There are several different methods in which to bleed the system. The first three we will look at are manual, gravity, and vacuum bleeding. In the manual bleeding process, one technician steps on the brake pedal several times, then applies constant pressure to the brake pedal, while another technician opens and closes the bleeder screws. This allows the system to act as a hydraulic pump to release the trapped air. This process is repeated until no further air is found. One advantage to this technique is that no special tools are required. The disadvantage is that it requires 2 people to perform the procedure. Another disadvantage is that the master cylinder may be damaged by using this method. To avoid this, the person depressing the brake pedal should not push it all the way to the floor. Gravity bleeding relies on gravity. By removing the master cylinder cover and opening the bleeder screws, the fluid is able to flow through the system, taking any air with it. One advantage of this method is that it works on most vehicles effectively. Another advantage is that it only requires one person to perform the procedure. The disadvantages are that it cannot be used on a vehicle with a residual pressure check valve. It may not work effectively on a vehicle with a combination or proportioning valve, and that it takes a long time for the procedure to be completed. In vacuum bleeding, a hand-operated or air-operated vacuum pump is hooked up to the bleeder screw. When a vacuum is applied and the bleeder screw is opened, the lower pressure draws the air and fluid out of the component and into the pump's fluid container. Like gravity bleeding, this process only requires one person. The disadvantage is that you may have to refill the master cylinder during the procedure. Some manufacturers advise against vacuum bleeding due to the potential stress on the seals. The preferred method for bleeding the system is pressure bleeding. It is preferred because it only requires one person and it is fast. Pressure bleeding uses a tool that has a large reservoir storing brake fluid that is attached to the master cylinder. Also, as a result, the master cylinder does not have to be refilled. The pressure bleeder functions by putting hydraulic pressure on the system, forcing trapped air out through the bleeder ports, similar to the process of manual bleeding. The main disadvantage is that it requires a special tool.
Now you will learn how to pressure bleed the system. Select each tab for more information. When finished, select Next to continue.
To prepare for pressure bleeding, make sure the pressure bleeder has the correct fluid. Then, charge the bleeder with compressed air to the specifications in the tool's instructions. Wipe the master cylinder cover and bleeder screws clean. Be sure to wear eye protection during any bleeding procedure. Connect the pressure bleeder to the master cylinder according to the tool's instructions. Make sure the master cylinder is at least half full. If the vehicle is equipped with a metering valve, you will also need to attach a tool to hold the metering valve open during the bleeding process. Open the fluid supply on the pressure bleeder. Next, check all connections for leaks. Attach a clear hose to the bleeder screw. Then place the other end of the hose into a clear container. Loosen the bleeder screw, allowing fluid to flow until you no longer see air bubbles emerging from the bleeder screw. Then tighten the bleeder screw. Repeat the procedure on the remaining wheel bleeder screws, following the vehicle manufacturer's service information for the proper bleeding instructions. Finally, close the pressure bleeder's supply valve. Remove the pressure bleeder and the metering override tool. Fill the master cylinder with new brake fluid and clean any spilled fluid in the area.